3. Time to move on, big one. Eagle's Nest, Kalan's Farm, near Kabul, June 20th. They called him Kalan, the big one. He might not have seemed such a giant in the Pashtun borderland country, but here, near Kabul, where people were wiry rather than massive, he was really big. Kalan ran the restaurant, the trading post, and a workshop for simple machinery repairs, just off the northern road. If you wanted a cup of tea while your irrigation pump was being fixed, you could get it there, and admire a range of rugs, or a new line in kerosene lamps while you drank it. Kalan had been in the area for years. Nobody around there really knew where he came from, and nobody cared very much. He was useful and he was popular. Some thought that he must be a man with a past. Others, satisfied with their own community, believed that it was the most natural thing in the world that a man would want to settle in a happy, quiet and prosperous area of fruit trees and good farming land. Today, Kalan called his assistant Hashim to take over while he went to look at a pickup truck that had broken down. It belonged to a farmer some 4 kilometers away, always a good customer for the miscellaneous services of Kalan's establishment. He took up his shotgun and pulled on a pair of beautiful red leather curly-toed Bokharan boots that he was breaking in. In his jeans and loud check shirt, he looked like a farmer from the American Midwest. In fact, he had been, until 10 years previously, a shipwright on the Pacific coast. Then he had got wanderlust, and had wanted a place of his own, work to do, but something which he could control, among the kind of people he could get on with. He'd started wandering and ended up here. Now he was 40, and he liked the life. Kalan waved. "Couple of hours should do it, Hashim. Repair job at Shirinab," and climbed into his beaten-up 1976 Chevrolet, the service kit in the back and a nodding donkey mascot in front. When the Chevy truck turned off the main road along the gravelly track which led to the farm, something caught Kalan's eye. Something had moved, he was sure of it, in that tree over there. A lone bandit? There were several loose in these parts, but Kalan thought he was well enough known not to be attacked. Bandits were some of his best customers for cartridges, food supplies, information. A mujahid on the run? Kalan, like the rest of the people in this flat, fertile area, kept out of trouble as much as he could. One gunship could destroy the whole place in minutes. But everyone would help a rebel if he could do it discreetly. He stopped the car and opened the door, shotgun at the ready. A man was grinning, no, laughing and waving to him. Tall, dark-haired fellow, looked quite tough, dressed like a guerrilla. No gun, though, not that you could see, anyhow. Kalan sat there while the other man jumped out of the tree and came running up. Kalan called to him in Dari. "Chigupas, what's up?" "Ji Haldari, how are you?" "Fazil-i Kuda, I'm well, thanks to God. Where's the busted pickup truck?" Adam spoke to him in English. "There isn't one. I sent the message. It just struck me," said the eagle, "that you might be able to help us. And we could help you, too. We're thinking of a trip to the north." "Adam K. Durrani? That Kabul professor. I haven't seen you for years. How's the university? Why are you dressed like that? What's all this about?" "Throne in my hand. I'm a mujahid now." "Is that right? Any future in it? Pays well, does it?" "Listen, Louis." It was the first time that Louis Palmer of Seattle, Washington, had heard his own real name for years. "If you care for a trip, we could take you on, and you could help us too." "Gee, I don't know. Got a pretty good little business going here now. All this Robin Hood stuff is all right for some people." Adam sat down beside him in his passenger seat. Don't let this influence you too much, Louis, but one of the reasons I stopped by was to tell you that I've just heard from a good source that the KHAD are onto you. They've been asking around if that big American was still running a store somewhere around here. If this wasn't such a crazy country, they'd have had you in the bag months ago. You're registered with the aliens office, you know. Gosh, if that's so, I'll certainly have to make plans. Not plans, friend, tracks. The KGB could be at the Karkhana any moment. Turn over the store to your manager and come on a trip. What is all this about a trip? Where to and for what? Louis was interested. To the north, to the Oxus at Kizilkala, and to blow up a boat, that's what for. I'll be darned. The Afs have one crazy little boat, the Jihun, in the whole country, and you want to blow it up? That's right. It's working for the Nikolais now, and it is an important job, and... Adam's voice became more serious. I think that you, with your maritime experience, could be useful. What the hell? Sure, I'll come along. Great. Haraka, let's get moving. Kalan would be a useful addition to the expedition. Adam had, in fact, thought of him before the tip-off through Afghan tour. The day before, word had come that the Russians were pressing the Kabul authorities to round up stray Americans and people educated in the West. Just as journalists, barred from entering Afghanistan in their professional capacity, could get there by simply asking for tourist visas, so too dozens of Westerners were living in the country without restriction. Russian efficiency had flagged when faced with Afghan casualness. And the Eagle had moved just in time. Hashim, Palmer's friend and assistant, left in charge of the cafe workshop, received a visit from a Soviet snatch squad within 24 hours. He told their leader that Kalan had gone. At the Eagle's Nest, it was decided to leave Kasab the Butcher as Adam's deputy to work in joint command with Colonel Baraksai's training group to organize the community and train everyone in the various functions which would make the Whirlwind a better fighting force. For the first time, logistics, liaison with other resistance groups, intelligence and communications were being put on an efficient basis. The Eagle's aim was a group which could now absorb and train almost any number of new recruits. Karima, listening to the plans but saying little, now put in her bid. Eagle, Seb, I have to come with you to the north. Adam had been waiting for this. Karima always spoke tentatively about anything that might be challengeable, but if she thought that something was right, she used positive words, and somehow she seemed to get her way. But surely a woman of over 60, however big and strong, you could be very useful to us here, Karima. You know how much we depend upon you for housekeeping and so on. There are other women here, Eagle, who can do everything just as well. We have got it all properly arranged. Karima. Adam felt that he must stamp this out at once. Let's look at this logically. As you must know, it's going to be a terrible journey, up and down mountains, in snow and ice, and we may well have to fight from time to time. We might all be killed. Karima said nothing. Perhaps he was impressing her. Every man or woman on this trip must be able to do things which are necessary and which are useful to everyone else and to the mission. If you can tell me how you would fit in, I will consider it. That, he thought, should clinch it. Still, she did not speak. She was giving up the idea, no doubt. Is that decided, then? He looked at her. No, Eagle, I was waiting for you to finish so that I could answer. Here comes the tortured reasoning, Adam said to himself. Very well, Karima. You have your say. How many reasons do you want to allow me to go with you? Reasons? Well, let me see. Give me 6 reasons, 6 good ones. That should settle it. Karima stood upright, her hands folded respectfully. Then she said, Commander, I offer you 6 reasons. First, it is unseemly for Nurjan Khanum to go alone, without another woman among so many men. Second, it is unbecoming for her not to be accompanied by someone to look after her, as she is a woman of rank. Third, I am strong and can carry a pack much heavier than the 20-kilo ones that the Mujahideen wear on their backs and complain about. Fourth, I am from the north and I speak Turki, so that will be useful. Many people wouldn't understand even you up there. Fifth, I can organize the eating arrangements and buy food without attracting suspicion. Sixth, as a woman, I would not be suspected as a spy if you needed information, and I could get it from other women and even children, while armed men could not. Adam was flabbergasted. He sat at the table wondering what to say. The colonel said with a wry smile, "Commander, if you want a 7th reason, it is that she has outthought you." Everyone laughed. Adam said, "You can come. But I have to know one thing. I thought that you always went by instinct. How did you produce a list of arguments like that? Not by instinct, surely." Karima smiled, something that she very seldom did. "Commander, it was instinct that told me that you would demand strong and simple reasons. After that, it was easy." Inwardly, she felt a quiet satisfaction. It wasn't really so hard to think, not if you'd seen it done as often as she had. Many a time in the old days, Mr. Zoltan had shown her. "Now, Karima, I know intuitively, that means inside me, that I have to widen the road a full 2 meters here, where it is marked on this map. What I have to do, however, is to find 5 or 6 good reasons which will satisfy the Russian chief administrator. He does not believe in feelings, only in facts." "Thank you again, Mr. Zoltan." 41 people were selected. Adam, Nur and Karima, plus Captain Azambai with his Russian and Turki knowledge, all made lists to compare with those of Colonel Barakzai. Zelikov was included because he could, if need be, impersonate a Russian soldier. Kasim as second in command, and Nanpaz the baker and Halim from Afghan Tur, who had had to leave his employment in a hurry, were strong and useful in many different ways. 20 other guerrillas, including Louis, and 12 of the newly recruited Afghan army defectors made up the total, roughly equivalent to 2 guerrilla battle groups. The expedition, in accordance with resistance custom, was given a name. At Haidar's suggestion, remembering the fort of his dead chief, the partisans named themselves the Shirkala Commando. When all was prepared, Colonel Barakzai wrote a message to the Russians to be broadcast over Radio Homeland, the Kabul clandestine station. From an Afghan soldier to the Russian colonizers, it is an historical fact that we are still here when all our invaders are little more than encyclopedia entries. The Greek, Persian, Mongol, and other empires are gone. Reflect how much is left of the domains of the Zoroastrians, the Buddhists, the Hindus and the Arabs, and all the others who came here, either to help the people or to make this land their own. History, dear Russians, offers you no chance at all, and yet you talk about the historical process. It offers even less than the supposed law of averages, and that is non-existent. Guerrilla preparations for the expedition to the north were well advanced when the Russians decided to wipe out the resistance in Paghman. Its valleys and mountain ranges had always harbored dissident fighting men. Unpopular Kabul regimes had never reduced the independence of its people. Strategically, as well as tactically, Paghman threatened the capital. And somewhere in its higher mountains the Russians knew was the headquarters of Kara Kush, the leader whose power was growing by the day. They had tried before to bring the region under control, seizing hostages, poisoning wells, bombing villages. This time they were determined to conquer it, to teach the Paghmanis a lesson they would never forget. and to show the rest of Afghanistan who were the masters now.